2023 was an incredible year for anime, so you'd think that in 2024, anime would slow down, we'd have a good year of anime, but not really a great year of anime, right? Well, wrong, because in 2024, anime just got better. Not only did we have some incredible shows, but even the shows that weren't really that incredible were of extremely high quality. So it is once again that time of year for me to look back on all the anime I watched in 2024 and pick my top 10. Now before we continue with the video, if you like anime and movie content, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Anyway, back to the video. So yeah, I was expecting 2024 to kind of be a slower year for anime, but instead the anime industry stepped up and brought us some incredible shows this year, but also some really good shows. And before I continue with the list, I just want to add a few caveats. First off, Frieren is not on this list. I am not putting Frieren on this list for the very simple reason that I gave Frieren its flowers on last year's top 10 list. So if you want to see Frieren on a list, please go check out that list. The second caveat is I won't be featuring any movies because I know there was one movie that resonated with anime watchers pretty much everywhere, and it's not gonna be on this list, but it might be in the honorable mentions. So with those conditions set, let's get into it. Number 10. Now 2024 was a year that tried to appeal to my childhood because many anime came out that were either sequels or reboots to some of my favorite anime growing up as a kid. And one of those anime that I watched as a kid that I really probably shouldn't have was Ranma Half on Animax. Now if you're not familiar with Ranma Half, it's actually a romance featuring this boy who turns into a girl when he's splashed with cold water and back into a boy again when he's splashed with hot water. And it is a romance between him and Akane, the daughter of his father's best friend and fellow martial artist. Now Ranma Half actually aired in the 80s or 90s, but we got it over here on Animax in the early 2000s or early 10s, and I loved watching it when I was younger. Although I don't think the content, especially looking back, was quite suitable for me at that age, I still love this anime. And this year we have a rebooted take on Ranma Half. Studio Mappa put their indentured slave artists to good use to give a fresh coat of paint to Ranma Half. And if you have watched the older Ranma Half, you might notice there's a bit of a change in color palette as the colors are a bit more lighter and washed out in this version, but from an animation standpoint, it's actually an incredible upgrade. Modern technology allows for more fluid animation, and because the story of Ranma Half is actually complete, this new anime follows much closely to the manga than the old one did, and the pacing especially is a lot better. So if you are a fan of the original Ranma Half, this will stand you in good stead, and I hope you check it out. Number 9. This year, the anime/manga community was struck with devastating news when we heard that the great Akira Toriyama had passed away. Thankfully for us anime fans, before he passed away, he worked on one last Dragon Ball project. And honestly, having watched this anime, it feels like he put a lot more of his heart and soul into this Dragon Ball project, and that is Dragon Ball Daima. So Dragon Ball Daima is the final Dragon Ball work where Akira Toriyama was involved, and as I mentioned, it feels like he really put his heart and soul into this work because this feels like a throwback to older Dragon Ball. I mentioned watching Ranma Half on Animax. Besides Ranma Half, we also had the OG Dragon Ball. Not Dragon Ball Z, just regular Dragon Ball with younger Goku traveling through the world to find the Dragon Balls in order to beat Pilaf and then Piccolo and the Red Ribbon Army and all of that. And this new anime, Dragon Ball Daima, it feels like a throwback to that. Because this time the villain of this series wishes that Goku and the Z Fighters are kids again, and it is a concept that we've seen before in Dragon Ball GT, but this time we are exploring the demon realm in order to gather the demon Dragon Balls to wish everyone back to normal again, while having to compete against this new Supreme Demon King that replaced Dabra from Dragon Ball Z. I'm not sure where this stands in the canon of Dragon Ball. Is this the canon follow-up to Dragon Ball Z? Or is it Super that's the canon follow-up to Dragon Ball Z? Or are they all in one singular canon? I'm not really sure, but this feels like the true continuation from Dragon Ball Z in a sense where it tries to cover up certain plot elements that didn't make sense going from the original Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z. And it helps that it's backed by incredible animation. Toei has finally stepped up their game compared to Dragon Ball Super, and it's incredible because the fight scenes are so well animated, and we finally get to see, spoiler alert, Vegeta goes Super Saiyan 3. So yes, if you love Dragon Ball, if you love Akira Toriyama, do check out Dragon Ball Daima. Number 8. So the next anime actually started airing in fall 2023, but it was locked up in Disney Plus jail, which is such a shame because I only got to see it like somewhere around spring season this year, and that is Undead Unluck. And it really sucks that Undead Unluck was locked behind Disney Plus jail because it is a very much slept on series. So the premise of Undead Unluck follows this girl Fuko who's cursed with the power of unluck. So those who touch her bare skin are cursed with bad luck, and if she has a high level of affection to them, the bad luck gets worse. She's about to kill herself after finishing her favorite manga, but then is rescued by Andy, who has the power of undead, which means he can't die, and which also gives him incredible powers of regeneration. So the two of them team up to fight this organization known as Union before realizing that they probably should join Union to avoid them being hunted by this organization. And from then on, the world just expands and the lore of the world just expands. But what's incredible about this series is the power system of negators. We get Andy, who has the power of undead, but the way he uses this power is so unique, and the creativity put not just into his powers but the powers of the other negators in the series is incredible. And this lends itself to some really unique fight scenes, but that's not all that the anime is about. It does have incredible action and a bit of fan service here and there, but also it has this emotional core at the center of the series, that relationship between Andy and Fuko. So yes, please stop letting this series be slept on, and if you can, do check out Undead Unluck. Number 7. Number 7 was an anime that aired during the summer season of this year, and it was probably one of the best visual spectacles that I've seen all year, and that is the Elusive Samurai. So the Elusive Samurai follows the son of a shogun who's had his entire family, his entire clan murdered by a traitor that used to serve the family, and now he must go on the run. So he takes his time in exile to gather his supporters, to gather his advisors, in order to build this force that will be able to stand against this traitor. But what really stands out about the Elusive Samurai is just the animation switch-ups. Because depending on the tone of the scene, the animation can switch up from various different styles, from being too silly to downright cinematic. The only big downside for the Elusive Samurai is that some of the CG is kinda janky, but besides that, the animation is top-notch. This anime is made by Cloverworks, and Cloverworks brings an A game, creating a visual spectacle that is sure to entertain, and the story itself is also pretty intriguing. It's interesting to see how he develops as a leader, because he's someone who's not really great in battle, but he has one incredible skill, which is he's great at evasion. He can dodge pretty much anything, and he uses this skill to draw allies to him while also to defeat his enemies. That serves as his strength and how he is going to defeat this traitor, because that traitor has strength to defeat his enemies on his own, and he is going to use the power of evasion. I can't wait to see where this series goes, so let's wait to see what happens in season 2. Number 6. I enjoy good romance shows, but I wouldn't say I'm the biggest fan of the genre. But this next anime is not just a romance, but is also a coming-of-age story, and I am a sucker for those. Makeine, or Two May Losing Heroines, follows 3 girls who have lost in their pursuit of love, and they now have to learn how to navigate and process these emotions that they're feeling. Now, the main character for Makeine is Nukumizu, someone who is a wallflower, who likes to keep to himself, who's introverted, who likes to find the best tap to drink from in school. That is until one day he witnesses one of the most popular girls in his class get rejected by her childhood best friend, and in an act of desperation, she drinks from his straw to get an indirect kiss. And well, this is kind of embarrassing, and she realizes that he witnessed it, and then she uses him to trauma dump, basically. Not only that, this girl eats her feelings, so she racks up quite a bit of a bill at the place where they're eating, and as it turns out, she can't afford to pay, so Nukumizu is stuck paying for her. And in order to pay him back, she promises to prepare bentos for him at school, lunches for him at school. And it starts off with just a simple block of rice, which is kind of unfair. But as they go closer, the food gets better, and Nukumizu also by proxy finds himself getting involved in the love lives of 2 other girls, which is the sporty Yakishio and the kind of introverted Kobari. What truly speaks to me about this anime is we've all had the time in our lives where we were younger and in love, and we confessed our love and we were rejected, and we had to learn how to process those emotions, how we feel about that person, because for some of these girls, that person is their childhood best friend, someone they've known all their life, someone they've loved for a very long time, and just to see themselves be pushed aside for a different girl hurts. And they have to learn how to deal with that. So watching this as an adult, it can seem like some of the actions they're taking are kind of cringy, but back in a time when we were teenagers or when we were younger, we were also capable of incredible cringe, especially when it came to love. And instead of forming some sort of harem around Nukumizu, instead they lean on him for emotional support. And it's not just the story of these girls coming to terms with the loss of their love, but also Nukumizu coming of age and learning to make friends. Makeine also features stunning animation. I mean, just look at this. And also they have 3 different ending sequences, each focusing on these 3 different girls, and they are all works of art. It's available to stream on Netflix, so if you watch a coming of age or romance, I would recommend you check out Makeine. Number 5. Now this next anime also started airing in the fall season of last year, but it really got good in the winter season of this year, and I should have put it on my top 10 best list of last year, but I didn't, so I'm going to put it here, and that is Apothecary Diaries. The Apothecary Diaries follows Mao, who was kidnapped and then sold into servitude at the Rear Palace in ancient China, and she is someone who's incredibly intelligent. She learned from her adoptive father how to see and solve things, and she can't really resist a case, especially when it's a medical mystery, and that gets her roped into becoming the poison tester for one of the concubines in the Rear Palace. And being a servant in the Imperial Palace, she comes across a ton of mysteries, plots, and conspiracies that require her knowledge to solve, because there is a ton of political intrigue, there's a lot of political tension, so a lot of people would benefit by doing some really nasty things, and Mao and her intelligence is used to solve these mysteries. Now, while the mysteries and overarching plot of the series is interesting in itself, let's be real, we're here for the best girl, which is Mao. She is an incredible main character. She carries this show on her shoulders. She's what sold me on her show, because she is someone who knows her position in this world and who knows how to leverage her knowledge to get what she wants, but also how to keep her head on. She's basically a Sherlock Holmes type with a much better personality. At the time of recording, season 2 is already airing, so I can't wait to see what else Mao gets up to. Number 4. Now, in at number 4 is the only anime on this list that also featured on last year's list, and that is Oshi No Ko Season 2. Oshi No Ko Season 1 was incredible and gave us a look into the entertainment industry of Japan. It had an incredible first episode, basically a feature-length first episode, and it set itself up to be one of the most incredible shows of the year, featuring some stunning animation. But honestly, the parts that worked for me was the look into the Japanese entertainment industry that Oshi No Ko provided in its first season. And Oshi No Ko Season 2, dare I say, steps it up to another level, because this time we're getting a look into stage plays in Japan, modern stage plays in Japan, and sort of the psyche of the actors behind it, or how these stage plays are even brought to life. How the authors of the manga that is being adapted for this stage play has to work with the writer for the stage play itself, because it's a different medium and there are changes that need to be made. It's those kinds of things which really draw me to this anime, but what really stands out is that the animation somehow leveled up. Some of the animation sequences in this season are truly stunning and really bring you into the psyche of the author, of the actors, of the writer. It really puts you in their shoes and makes you feel what they're going through. I rarely do put season 2s because I want to focus on newer anime, but Oshi No Ko Season 2 really deserves a spot on this list. Now, before we go on to the top 3 anime of this year, I have a bunch of honorable mentions that I am going to have to rattle off, because the honorable mentions alone for this year are double the length of the top 10 list. I have 20 honorable mentions listed here, and that just tells you how great a year of anime it's been. So we're going to do this in order of seasons. So we're starting with the spring season, and the first anime on the honorable mention for the spring season is Solo Leveling. Yes, the beloved manhwa finally gets an anime adaptation, although I feel like we've only just dipped our toes into the story. Like, it adapts a very small portion of the material and it's not really gonna get good. Season 2 is just started airing and trust me, it gets better. Besides that, Mashle Season 2 also aired last winter, picking off where Season 1 left off, being incredibly funny and incredibly out there while also having incredible action and some unique new powers, especially in this Divine Visionary arc where we see who would be the main villain of the series. Now another anime I'm going to recommend from the Winter 2024 season is an anime that I thought I was going to get some fan service and some smut from, but it turned out to be a really wholesome romance with harem elements, and that is Dosanko Gyal wa Namaramen Koi, or Hokkaido Girls Can't Be This Cute. Like honestly, I tuned into this for gyari smut and it turns out I got a wholesome romance? That's very strange, so that's why I'm putting it on this list. So moving on to the spring season, and it's safe to say that this season was incredibly stacked. I have a bunch of anime listed here from the spring season, starting off with probably my favorite from that season, which was Kaiju number 8. Kaiju number 8, being one of the latest Jump manga to get an anime adaptation, follows this middle-aged man who wants to become part of the Kaiju Defense Force, and he's given a final chance at it. But before that, he's then infected by a kaiju so he can transform into the titular Kaiju number 8. This means he has to navigate the defense force while keeping his kaiju identity now a secret, and having an anime with a middle-aged protagonist, a battle anime with a middle-aged protagonist, truly appeals to me and I really love this one. Next up we have Mushoku Tensei's second season, and while it doesn't live up to the sort of quality of the first season, it is still a very good second season, although the ending might leave a sour taste in viewers' mouths. Next up is another anime that was produced by Cloverworks, and it's a delinquent anime. This year we got 2 delinquent anime, Butchigiri and now Windbreaker. And of the 2, I would say that Windbreaker is the far superior product, although it does end at the start of its next arc, so that's a bit weird, so I'm waiting for its next season. But if you are into delinquent anime like Tokyo Revengers, but you wish the main character was actually a badass capable of fighting, maybe Windbreaker is more your speed. Oh my god, there is so much anime. I'm not even done with the spring season yet. Okay, next up from the spring season, Dainana Oji, or the Seventh Prince, and I'm not gonna say the full title of this anime because it is way too long. Damn you light novel adaptations with your long ass titles. But this was an unexpected hit for me. I really enjoyed it. There is no real depth to this anime. It's a power fantasy with a very powerful main character, but damn is it fun. Although the weird fetishization of a young boy might throw some people off. Spice and Wolf. Spice and Wolf got a remake. I didn't manage to finish it. I think I made it about 7 or 8 episodes through, so I have to get back to that. But then, like, you can see from this list why I didn't get back to it. So if you love the original Spice and Wolf, I think you'll have a really good time with this remake. Next up we have Go Go Loser Ranger, which is a fresh take on the Super Sentai genre, because this time we follow the perspective of a minion that wants to infiltrate the Ranger Corps in order to defeat the Rangers, because honestly, the Rangers are kind of dicks in this. They are the villains, but they're also monsters that are villains, and it's really intriguing. The pacing's a bit here and there, but let's see what they do for their next season. And finally, the last anime for the spring season that I'm going to recommend in these honorable mentions is The Fable. Animation's dog shit, but damn if it delivers good comedy and the voice acting is incredible, you can still have a great time with an anime. So while animation may be a cornerstone of anime, sometimes you can get away with dog shit animation if you just have a good story and characters. Oh god, that was spring. Now we're going for summer. And summer doesn't have as many, but they had some really good shows on its own, and the first one being Alia Hides Her Feelings in Russian. This is another high school romance, but this time we follow a tsundere girl who basically confesses her love to her crush, but in Russian, and she thinks he can't understand her. But he can, because somehow in his childhood, he met someone who speaks Russian and he had to learn Russian to speak with them. And yeah, it's really fun, but it's got great animation, feet are animated well, but if you're just looking for something to sort of wind down to, I would recommend this. It's not too deep, it's a fun high school romance anime. Next up is the most overrated anime of this season, which was Wistoria of Wand and Sword. It came out swinging with probably one of the best first episodes, although I felt it was like over animated to the point it made me nauseous. But then the animation quality just dropped. Like, first episode over animated, second and third episodes really good, like some of the best animation you can find. Everything after that, kinda crap until the big climactic fight. But the story itself is intriguing and the world building is kind of interesting, so that's why I'm sticking around for season 2 to see how it goes. Next up is the sleeper of the season, which I feel like a lot of people didn't watch, and that is Shoshimin series, which follows two, I would say, autistic kids, and one of them has the capability of solving mysteries because he pieces together information very quickly, but people don't like that. People don't like when you try to solve their problems for them, and so him and this girl made a pact to be normal people, to not get involved in these things, and to just be normal people. And so we get this very low stakes mystery anime, which we have these kids kind of solving very mundane little mysteries, and it's beautifully animated. The summer season had some really beautifully animated shows. Makeine was in the season, Alia was beautiful, this was beautiful. I mean, damn, the summer season was pretty good. And rounding off the summer season is an anime that shows that you can make a sequel or spin-off to Terminator without it being shit, and that was Terminator Zero. Terminator Zero is a great addition to the Terminator lore, and a lot of people probably didn't check it out, but I think if you are a fan of Terminator or the Terminator series, I think this is a great addition to that IP. And now for the final season of the anime year, which is the fall season, and I'm going to list off two basically sequels, and that is Bleach, the 1000-Year Blood War, The Conflict, which is carrying on this hot streak that Bleach has been having. Especially with One Piece just piecing out randomly, Bleach is now carrying the flag for the big three, and it is doing an incredible job. Next up, we have an anime that made the top 10 list last year, and I feel like it's carried on just being a top tier show, being the peak VR MMO anime. It is the best VR MMO anime, better than any other, and that is Shangri-La Frontier. Fight me. Also in the fall season, we got Beastars Season 3, which is its final season, and this is just the first part of its final season. That's why it didn't make the top 10 list, because if this was truly its final season, I feel like Beastars would have made the top 10, but it'll probably make the top 10 for next year. But anyways, it's just on the honorable mentions this year. It is no longer confined to the high school environment. The story of Season 3 is really interesting because it follows interspecies relationships as well as hybrids and their place in society. And if you are a fan of Zootopia and you want something that's like much darker, please do check out Beastars. I feel like it's incredibly underrated. Next up for fall, I did not watch this anime, I'll be honest, but it is an anime that grew from Kickstarter to being a fully fledged anime, and that is Mecha Ude. And it is a throwback to classic shonen battle anime, and I feel like if that's something you're looking for, please check this out and support it. Blue Box, on the other hand, poses itself as a sports romance anime, but honestly it's just more of a romance anime. The sports exists, but you learn nothing about the sports. Compared to normal sports anime where you learn more about the sport as you watch the anime, you'd really learn nothing about basketball or badminton, but it is definitely more of a romance. It focuses more on the interactions between the characters. So if you're looking for a good romance to check out, please do check out Blue Box. And finally, we have Look Back, which is an anime movie based on the work from Tatsuki Fujimoto. And being honest, I did not watch this movie yet, but I've heard a lot of good things that I feel like it deserves its spot on this video. Yes, it wins the Pluto Award for anime that I haven't watched that might be really, really good. It is a movie, and I am reluctant to put movies on this list, but I've heard so much good things about this that it deserves a spot on this honorable mentions list. Also, one anime that I kind of forgot that I also still haven't watched, and so it wins the Pluto Award for anime that I haven't watched that might be good, and that is Dead Demons Dead Destruction. Ah, God, we're done. We're done with the honorable mentions. There were so many good anime this year, but we're done with the honorable mentions. We're done with the prior 7, so we are now here, the cream of the crop, the top 3. Number 3. What's more powerful than an idea? Especially when that idea is the truth about our place in the universe. Orb on the movements of the earth follows one of these ideas, and that is heliocentrism. In a time where geocentrism was the accepted model of the solar system, and anyone who said otherwise would be put to death, would be persecuted, would be tortured, would be called a heretic, would be labeled insane. This idea infects those that want the truth about our place in the universe. Orb is something special. I don't say that about many anime, especially seeing as this anime is not done airing yet. It's just finished its first core and is now in its second core. It shows us the journey of all the people who've had to put in the work to bring the theory of heliocentrism to the masses, to make it the dominant model of our solar system. and they had to do that in the face of heavy persecution from the church. It shows the effort that goes into carrying this idea, the legacy that is passed down from person to person to make sure that the truth comes to light, that the truth becomes accepted, even though there are those that will physically punish you for believing so. Accompanied by solid animation and a great score, Orb on the Movements of the Earth is one of the best anime of the year. Number 2. Now this anime is probably number 1 in a ton of people's list, but where it ends off for this first season kind of made me go like, it doesn't really deserve the number 1 spot yet. And that is Dandadan. Dandadan is incredible, a banger OP, incredible visuals, and the marriage of this story that is a mishmash of so many things, along with Science Saru, who's known to be very avant-garde with their productions. It's a marriage made in heaven, and we get one of the most incredible anime from it. What is Dandadan exactly? It is a sci-fi. It is supernatural. It is a shonen battler. It is a romance. It is so many things, and it somehow manages to balance everything so well and be so engaging and just be a ton of fun, back with Science Saru's understanding of how this needs to be animated. You can't box in Dandadan, you've got to let your creativity explode when animating this anime, and Science Saru successfully elevated the material to a level that I don't think many people could have imagined. I'll probably make a separate video for Dandadan itself, but if you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend that you do. And now that we're done with all the other anime, it's time for my number 1 anime of the year. This anime came out in the beginning of the year, and initially I thought it was just going to be a run-of-the-mill anime. It was well animated, it looked great, I liked the characters, but then the twist happens, and the twist hooks you in, and that is Dungeon Meshi. When Dungeon Meshi first started airing, I was not compelled to watch it week to week. I would use it more as an anime to wind down and just watch people cook monsters. And yes, there's incredible world building in the first half. The monster designs are cool, and just the ecosystem that's being built up in the anime is incredible. Alongside the cast of characters, the main party that we follow are just full of these kooky characters that aren't supposed to work together but kind of do, and you kind of fall in love with them. But then the second half of the anime hits, and that sort of dark undertone that's been there but kind of pushed down comes to the fore, and then it changes everything. Suddenly we're not in this laid back little fantasy dungeon, we are in a dangerous living, breathing place that can and will try to kill you. And what this anime does amazingly is balance comedy, because in essence this is a comedy, but it also balances it with that dark undertone, with that dark side to this anime that it has, and it toes the line so perfectly. That, accompanied by an incredibly lovable cast, not just the main party but even the supporting characters are truly fun, makes this the best anime of the year. And it's funny that this aired like in the beginning of the year. Also, the animation by Studio Trigger, I didn't know this was a Trigger show until I looked it up, because the animation isn't traditional Trigger. Like, once you know it's a Trigger show and you start watching it, you can see the Triggerisms, but at first glance you couldn't tell that this was a Trigger show. But the animation is incredible. That, the story, the characters, this was the best time I've had watching an anime this year, and it's probably the highest quality anime I've watched this year. So that's why Dungeon Meshi is my anime of the year. And we're done. Please let me know what your top 10 anime of 2024 were in the comments, or you can just let me know your favorite anime, or please let me know if I missed any anime that I probably should have put on the list, and I'll see you in the next video.